Hello and welcome to Bad Movie Brothers. I'm Eric.
I'm Chad.
And tonight we watched Karate Cop.
Hot garbage.
This definitely falls into the larger categories of movies we've watched that is barely a movie.
I don't know what it was. It started poorly, it ended poorly, the middle was bad as well.
It's certainly rough going for a lot of reasons. And normally at the start of the show, at the top of the show here, I like to tell people what the plot of the movie was, so they have some sense of what we're going on about.
Exactly.
I don't know what this movie was about.
I know what it's about.
Okay, lay it on me.
So there's these two cop buddies that, go around, and they're cops in apparently San Francisco.
Yes.
And then they run afoul of the wrong people. And one of the cop buddies gets killed by a gang. The other cop buddy gets framed for the murder, put away in jail. He comes back and is just trying to live his life, but those same ruffians come back into his life, and it's his revenge against them for his cop buddy. Yeah. The rest of the movie.
So our hero is Don, I think.
I don't know.
The names are not used a great deal in this movie.
No.
But I think our hero's name is Don. And pretty much this is a movie about Don and a cop for maybe the first 5 minutes.
Yep.
Ex-cop for the rest of the movie, fighting a gang.
Right.
And things happen.
Yeah, there's like I said, there's one of the cops gets killed. There's a bank robbery. There's I don't even know what else there is. There's Chuck Norris. That's what there is.
There is Chuck Norris. So Chuck Norris, who is touted as the star of this movie, but is not.
No.
He's top billed. Our hero, Don, I don't think, he's like 7th or 8th billed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is where to look at the VHS case.
Boom!
This is a Chuck Norris movie.
And that doesn't even look like Chuck Norris the way he looks in the movie.
No,
that's
we're going to have to get to that.
That's a much later picture.
Right. Oh yeah. This picture could have been taken 10 years ago.
Right.
For all I know. But yeah, Chuck is barely in this thing. He's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Which I think firmly puts this movie in the tradition for us of movies like No Retreat, No Surrender.
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And Thunderground, where the whole reason to watch the movie is the bad guy.
Yeah, but here's the problem with this movie is that the fight scenes weren't even good.
I thought some of the fight scenes were cool.
The end one, maybe.
And that might just be because I was looking for anything I could hold on to.
Yeah, this was like our high school had better production value in the morning news than this movie had. That's
not unfair. So let's
our not very big high school.
Right.
By the way.
So Karate Cop from 1974.
Okay.
Unreleased until 1981.
Makes sense.
Right. Sat on a shelf until Chuck Norris coincidentally became famous and was then released.
Yeah. Got it.
When we saw it as Karate Cop, but it was released as Slaughter in San Francisco.
I'll take that.
Yellow-Faced Tiger.
Don't get it.
And Chuck Norris versus the Karate Cop.
That's better.
Slaughter in San Francisco has a pretty badass poster though, and contains the tagline, "Chuck Norris may be hazardous to your health."
Was his name Chuck Norris in the movie?
Like his character's name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so. But like we said, this movie's very fast and loose with what people's names may or may not be.
Right.
But yeah, so at the start of the movie, right? We've got Don and John are the two cops.
Yep.
It appeared to me that it was their first day on the job.
It was pretty goofy, whatever it was.
Because you've got, like, at one point, Don's, like, polishing his badge.
Yeah, it was like, and this is a note that I took several times in this movie.
Yeah.
It was like what a little kid thinks cops do. And it was like a little kid wrote this movie.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I feel like in that first day, they go from being terrible cops to amazing cops to terrible cops again.
And yeah, against the wrong people.
Right. Well, because there's constant gang activity throughout this movie.
Right.
In such a way that I kept wondering, is this the same gang?
I don't know. Was that girl that at the beginning, is that the same girl throughout the movie? Because I don't know.
I'm not sure either, and I feel terrible for not knowing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure either. Because,
Also,
yeah.
in your opinion, is there any way they would have heard her scream from how far they had to run into the woods to find them in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, come on, let's go. Right.
No, let me go. No, please. No, no, no. Oh, please. No. No,
It's up there.
let me go. Oh, please. Not here, Paul, please. No. No, please. Stop it. Don't hurt me. No.
Come on.
Well, that's so. Getting back to their first day on the job, they're cruising around aimlessly in that young child idea of what a cop does.
Right.
They see legs sticking out from a bush.
Okay, yep.
So it seems like immediately we have entered Law and Order territory.
Right.
And they rush out of their cop car, convinced they have found a dead person, but it's just a lady making out with a guy.
Yeah, behind a weird bush.
Yeah. So
Not like not in a park or anything. Just like there's a couple bushes.
like on
and
the
they're there.
curb.
Yeah.
Yeah. They while they're laughing that off, they hear a scream from like an actual sexual assault.
From miles away.
Miles away, they jog down there, and it's two guys assaulting a lady.
Right.
Now this I thought was a pretty good fight.
Yep.
Because the cops rough up the two guys, and with karate moves.
Mm-hmm.
But then end it with an amazing slap on of the handcuffs as like part of the karate.
Now, who started that fight?
I think the cops. I'm pretty sure there was no stop. I think they just kind of ran in and started kicking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But did those guys fight back?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We'll have to
I'll
go
get
to the
that.
tape on that.
No, I'll get to that point in a second.
Okay, I apologize, counselor.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, and then all I was going to say is then they take them to the police station, whereupon the girl says, "We were just playing," and then that is never, the guys are released, and that is never commented on again.
Right, so those guys were released because they were not sexually assaulting her.
Because it was all supposedly consensual.
However, as you yourself just admitted, those gentlemen fought back against the police.
That is true. That they did resist arrest.
They should be in jail regardless.
I'm going to allow it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I rest
Well
my
argued.
case.
Agree. It doesn't. None of it makes sense. And it seems like
Juniper in the house.
there we go. Everyone's favorite part of the show.
Yep.
I'm watching those blinds behind you intently.
I don't think that'll happen, but we'll see.
We'll see. We can only hope. But you just got Karate Cat.
Yeah, I did. Yep. Good one.
Thanks.
Thank you, Juniper.
There you go. She'll be back later, folks.
Yep.
Well, that's hard to recover from. But yeah, it's the first thing that happens in the movie. So you think it's like going to be a setup for something bigger, where like now they're going to like, maybe they're not going to let it go and they're going to investigate into it and find out what's going on.
Well, I guess it sets up those other characters, the girl and her boyfriend that I think, see throughout the rest of the movie.
Calling them characters, though, is extremely generous.
Yeah, I agree, but that's what calling this movie anything is extremely generous.
Right. But in any event, so then I forget what happens. I forget the connective tissue, but they end up in a fight like on the beach, wherein John, the other officer, is essentially getting beaten the tar out of.
Right.
And then Don shows up and kills a dude.
Yeah, but I didn't realize he killed him until all of a sudden they like said he killed him. They didn't show him die. They just like showed him like.
So he's dead, and then for a second there, it looks like the punishment for murder is just going to be you're off the force.
But is that murder, or is it like self-defense?
It was at worst, I assume it was police brutality.
Okay.
Which, not that isn't bad.
Right.
Right, but certainly a problem. He then spends, for what they say is murder, 3 years in jail.
Yeah, I couldn't believe they put this guy in jail.
For
and
3 years.
We didn't get to see any of it.
Well, we don't see a day of that jail sentence.
No, we see him go in and that's it.
Which brings up this point about the movie.
All right.
In this movie, time and space are meaningless.
I assumed that there was just chunks of the movie missing.
And that is the best explanation.
Yeah.
But definitely what happens in this movie is they very nonchalantly say, well, now you're going to go to jail for 3 years. And then we cut to a Chinese restaurant where he's working as a waiter.
I'm so sorry, Don. I guess you know you'll be inside for at least a year.
A year? It's nothing.
Yeah, I'll go back to, I think a 3-year-old wrote this movie, or at least pitched it, and he was like, and then he's a waiter, and then they rob a bank.
Right.
And...
But we're missing that montage where he goes to jail, or even just a title that says 3 years later.
Right.
It's just suddenly, I guess, 3 years later, and he's a waiter now.
Apparently.
It seems like you said that a child wrote it. It seems like things are missing. It also seems like they took like 3 movies that they had parts of and just put them together in a way that vaguely made sense.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to me like things are missing because this is a short movie, because this is not a short movie.
No, it's a pretty long movie. It's approximately 90 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's still a good chunk of a movie.
Right, that's a movie. A movie. And so that's just one of the places where time and space are meaningless.
Right.
So he's working at the restaurant. Chuck Norris's entourage is Chuck Norris is there.
Mm-hmm.
He playfully burns Don's hand with a cigar.
Your bill, sir.
A thing he does to other waiters, do you think?
It sure seems like it.
Yeah.
Is impressed with Don's moxie and sends one of his goons back in to tell him, oh, the boss wants to talk to you.
Right.
So that leads me to think, oh, okay, well, he's going to go outside to the boss's car and they're going to chit-chat.
Mm-hmm.
Hard cut, it's the next day. Don has to drive out to the beach to meet with Chuck Norris.
Yeah, weird.
Super weird. Later, then, there is a part where the girl has gotten back involved in the movie.
Yeah.
I guess her parents have been wrongfully arrested for involvement in gang activity.
Yes, because they witnessed the bank robbers kill the other cop.
Right. Later on in this movie, folks at home,
Yeah.
John does get murdered.
After some sweet drunk karate.
We're going to have to talk about that drunk karate. That's one of the best fights in the whole thing.
Yep. I'll give you that.
Is they come out of a bar just cartoonishly drunk.
Oh, boy. What a night. What do you say?
I'll get you back in here, please.
And I'll give you 5
Oh,
grand.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Okay, so long, fella.
And they're falling all over the place, but then like drunk kicking. It's like they saw Drunken Master
Yeah.
and then said, well, we got to put this in the movie.
I agree.
But yeah, so John gets murdered in these people's backyard. And the crooked cop arrests this Asian couple because they're Asian and the gang is Asian.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Basically.
And so, and it seems like they're also the parents of the girl from the beginning of the movie, we guess.
I think.
And so now, and Don is now investigating this stuff
On his own.
which is another problem with the movie, which is, so the whole idea of the movie is, disgraced cop versus the mob, right? And, just them being the mob is one reason. Him getting sent to jail kind of because of them is a reason.
Yep.
But he's also then out for revenge for John's death.
Yep.
He's also seeking justice for this old couple.
Yep.
And then later in the movie, Chuck Norris sexually assaults the woman again, the woman who we think is from the beginning and is the daughter of the couple, and she comes to Don for help.
Right.
So he's got all sorts of motives for some reason to fight this gang in a movie where normally you would need just one.
Yeah.
It's like if in John Wick, they not only killed his dog, but they got another couple involved, and then they messed with John Wick's retirement fund. Like
I'm just realizing this was really John Wick 1. And John Wick is John Wick 2.
And John Wick 2 is John Wick 3?
No, John Wick again.
Okay, that's fair. But anyway, so Don is sitting around talking to this girl. And she says you should try number 16. She says if you go to number 16 whatever street, that's where the gang hangs out.
I missed that, but okay.
Well, she does. Hard cut to Chuck Norris sitting in his lawn chair watching his goons practice karate.
A lot of hair.
Chuck Norris looks amazing in this movie.
A lot of hair on that guy.
Huge, the biggest Chuck Norris mustache I've ever seen in a movie. And a man who favors cigars and lawn chairs.
Love it.
Not bad.
Nope.
Not as cool looking in this as Van Damme is in No Retreat, No Surrender.
No retreat, no surrender.
Okay.
Different eras,
Different eras, for sure.
for sure.
Same sort of sport.
Right. Kicking people. But anyway, she says try 16.
There are lots of Chinese living round here. For instance, there are a bunch of guys living at number 16. Why don't you check them?
We cut from 16 to Chuck and his gang. Then we cut to Don exploring outside the building. I don't think it is beyond the realm of expectation in the language of movies that when he goes into that building, that will be the building where Chuck Norris and his gang are.
Uh-huh.
Instead, he goes in and it's a completely other building.
Right.
Where then he gets into fights with different gang members.
Mm-hmm.
And then that fight ends on the roof of that building, which for all intents and purposes seemed to be in the suburbs.
Yep.
But the roof of this building is the roof of like a downtown high-rise.
Yeah, I got lost in this whole part.
Time and space are meaningless.
I was really upset we never got to see him karate training.
Don?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
too good at karate to not see it.
Right. Like like they should cut out the part from No Retreat, No Surrender.
No retreat! No surrender!
Where he's practicing with that big wooden thing with the stick sticking out of it.
Yep.
Put that in there. But then lastly, my last thing about time and space
Okay.
is at the climax of the movie, Don is rushing out for the big climactic fight.
In a
and-
fountain.
Huh?
In a fountain.
Yeah. And he says to the woman, he says, if I'm not back in 3 hours, call the police.
Right.
He leaves. She immediately calls the police.
Had to have.
We see her pick up the phone.
Don't worry. If I'm not back in 3 hours, you call the police.
Yeah. By the way, when the police come, it's the easiest arrest of a gang I've ever seen in my life.
Well, the climactic fight. So Don ends up going to Chuck Norris's
Lair.
I'm reluctant to say vast estate.
Yeah, no.
But he goes out there. Now, this whole movie, he's been out for revenge. Don has.
Yep.
Chuck just wants to hire him.
Yeah, come kill for me, bro.
Yeah. So when he finally shows up at the place, I'll get back to that, but there's a big fight, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
First, Don takes on the gang in a pretty great garden tool fight.
Yeah, I thought that was a good fight.
Then Chuck shows up and they fight. Then the cops show up and everybody goes down like a deck of cards.
Stop it, are you telling? For Christ's sake, stop it! I know all about it. Come on. Calm down.
Real quick.
And then Don's back on the police force.
Top cop.
Because they need to replace the crooked cop that I think Don killed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he killed him. And why was that guy so crooked? What was going on with that?
That's never explained. It seems like he's associated with Chuck Norris, but that's not ever really explained.
And is the other crooked cop still allowed to be a crooked cop? Because nothing ever happened to him.
That's why I say this movie's impossible to follow. Like it's taking one of the most straightforward and tried and true, subgenres. It's got the revenge movie.
Yep.
And then it just complicates it to all hell and never explains anything.
It was bad.
It's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. Although one of my favorite goofy things in the movie, getting back to that last scene, so Chuck is showing Don around his house, like, here's why you should work for me. Mm-hmm. They go to this safe that he's got built into the wall. And he opens the safe, and you're expecting, this is going to be nuts.
Right.
When he opens the safe. He's got maybe 9 bricks of cocaine in there.
Yeah, not enough.
Like what I would expect to be like the morning shipment to one stash house.
Yeah.
Which is also, as far as I can tell, the first time drugs have entered into this movie.
Yeah, and there's too many thugs to pay for that little amount of drugs.
He has a lot of thugs.
Lot.
Like, I assume that there's a vast criminal empire, but there's no real evidence of that.
And they got cars and stuff, man. Too much. Too much.
Like, the only crimes we see are them beating up randos, assaulting people,
Yep.
and then there's a big bank robbery in the middle.
Right.
That it has maybe 5 guys at it.
Big question about the bank robbery.
Yeah.
What bank is like connected to a sewer system that you could just like walk into? They like went into a back room and they were out the sewer the next moment. Not possible.
This is not the Ninja Turtles, in other words.
Exactly.
But yeah, that is pretty much Karate Cop. I don't have a ton to say about this movie because it's perplexing. I believe you were looking at your notes. I am looking at mine.
Yep.
Oh, I will say Chuck Norris has a pretty good line in this movie. I only know 2 kinds of people.
I got this. I wrote this down as well.
So I'll start. I only know 2 kinds of people.
Those who obey me and those who die.
I only know 2 kinds of people. Those who obey me and those who die.
Pretty good.
Liked it. I liked it.
We get some quality Chuck Norris board breaking at one point.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
Everyone in this movie is dubbed.
Yes.
That must be discussed.
Is this a foreign film?
Yes, this is a Hong Kong action movie shot in San Francisco.
Gotcha.
It seems like the sort of deal where some of the cast speaks English and some of them don't. And so they just didn't even bother recording dialogue.
Right.
But the result is you get a Chuck Norris that does not sound like Chuck Norris.
Did it sound like the same guy to you? Every single person's voice sounded the same to me.
It did have that kind of low-budget dubbed movie effect where it sounded like there were maybe 3 people doing all the voice, which does not help to clarify anything at any point.
No. Not at all.
Not great.
Hot garbage.
I would say slightly more professional than Rollerblade,
Okay.
but not a ton.
Right. That movie had rollerblades, though.
That movie did have, and a puppet.
Yeah.
Forgot about that puppet.
Yep.
Not so fast, Hunter. I have another job for you.
Yes, it did.
Yep, I don't blame you. But yeah, that's all I've got for Karate Cop. I would say don't watch it.
Karate, C-R-A-T.
Oh! Look out.
Spelling.
It's what sets us apart from the animals.
Some animals spell.
Coco.
Yeah, I remember.
Never forget.
Terrible movie. Don't see it.
Don't see it. Well, that's it for this episode of Bad Movie Brothers, I guess.
Okay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.